Sabina, you're too maga, girl. You're not sexy again. And my little car was like with a trunk down in the river. And what I liked a lot about him, he was funny. He made me laugh. He cannot leave the airport. And I was like, what? And they said, yeah, he tried to come in without a passport. She would go run, grab the person by the balls, literally. Boy, I tell you, I've seen some grown men turn really, really pale. Bouquet of flowers, and gave it to me and said, here, because you made me see snow for the first time. A grown black man, you know, in the snow. Everybody there was cracking up the way he was enjoying himself, and he was like, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! And I pick up the phone and hello, and suddenly on the other side of the line, guess who was on it? My dear husband.
It's your girl Mel, and we are back again with another story time. Story time part 8. Part 8. The last time we left off with mom getting some form of help, and yeah, we are just going to continue from there. So go ahead, mommy, do your magic.
Disclaimer. The stories that I'm going to tell in this series are my experience, my truth, and my point of view over the past 38 years that I have been in Jamaica. And it's in no way intended to slander any person, the culture of Jamaica, or the island as a whole. Hello Mel's lovelies, back again with a new story. Okay, we left off the other day with me practically restarting in Jamaica with a small baby and my 2 sons. And I was saying that I would get a little help. So what actually happened, shortly after I came back to Jamaica, I bought a little car. Old car, that's all I could afford. And I was still looking for a place to live, because the last place with the lady that was crazy and complaining all the time was very, very unpleasant. So luckily I found a little house in Breastwork, and therefore I needed my furniture that I had in the initial house where I lived with my husband. So I went up there to look for my stuff, and what happened is, first of all, they crammed everything in one little corner, in one, I don't even know, room. You couldn't even call it room. And when I packed up my stuff, what I had actually was like one little fold out foam sofa that could fold out as a bed, and 2 chairs with it. And then my clothes and some other stuff, and I did have a few books, and I left actually a little case with jewelry from that I had. I mean, nothing too valuable, but I mean valuable for me, like sentimental,
yeah,
you know,
sentimental.
So when I started to pack up my stuff, I realized that quite a few things were missing. Like I had a book from MC Escher, and might be known by some of you, graphic designer that did this crazy, I think you saw him, right? You saw pictures of him. Like he started with a pattern with butterflies and end up with birds.
Oh yeah.
Something like, or you have these where the steps, if you look good, some go up, some go down. So I love that book. I love that artist.
Like illusion kind
something
of stuff.
like that. And that was gone, and some other things were gone, and then I couldn't find my jewelry anymore neither. Everything was really crammed in the place, like just stuffed. away, you know. And I was like, what the heck? First of all, you take away my home, and then you can't even treat my possessions properly. No, that is not fair. Anyhow, I packed up whatever. At that point in time, I met the now occupants of the house. And actually what had happened is friends of mine, the German doctors, started a project in Jamaica. It was called Portland Medical Care. And what they would do, they would buy tickets for doctors to go to Portland, and they could stay rent-free in that house. Would not get any money for food or nothing, just a flight, and they would work for Jamaican people, like voluntary work. And some came like for only a few weeks, 2-3 weeks. Some came for a half year or whatever. And when I went up there was a family, and they were there for a whole year. It was a doctor with his wife, who was an artist, and one son. And the wife was pregnant. So we met and we kind of hit it off, and we start talk, and they couldn't understand neither why my family would kind of set me out of the house, but it was a done deed, so could nothing be changed. But we were really very amicably from the very beginning, and they started to visit me in the shop and eat some pizza and feel good. Anyhow, I got my furniture, brought it down in the new little house. It was a tiny house and very, very humid. It wasn't nice, to be honest. It was not, but better than nothing. And I didn't have to deal with nobody that was quarreling about baby crying or soap displaced or whatever. So I was happy. And this, actually, you should have taken that photo where we were under the bed. Anyhow. So we were in that apartment, and while we just started to live there, a young man started to come in my pizza shop. And very charming, very good looking, tall, slim. And what I liked a lot about him, he was funny. He made me laugh. You know, I mean, he was like an actor. You know, and so I mean, I have my husband had disappeared since almost a year. I haven't heard from him at all. I didn't even know where he was. I had no idea whatsoever. I had gone through a pregnancy. I just gave birth to a baby about 4 months before that, you know, and then this guy came and he started to play with the children, and the children loved him. He took the baby for some time from me, just held her. And she wasn't crying, and I was like, oh my god, you know, this is nice. So he was he was really pursuing me, and in a very nice manner. Nothing too, you know, you don't like people to come onto you too.
Not too pushy.
Exactly. So he was doing that in a perfect way. So I kind of fell for him, and we started a relationship. So that is what I was talking about, getting a little help, because he was really helping me tremendously with the children. And he was there. I mean, I could say, Lou, can you please do this or that for me? And he would. No question asked. I mean, of course, you know. And I was like, whoa, you know.
So the name mommy gave him is Lou, guys. So if when you hear she say Lou, just know say somebody shut up.
Alright. So I mean, he started to visit me in my little house and stayed sometimes and stuff, and we just started a little normal family life, which was nice for the children too, because they really liked him. He was playing with them, and he was doing a lot of things with them, and they were like, oh yeah, he's okay. And so that my life started to kind of take on some pattern again, you know, some structure,
normal,
you know, so that was extremely nice again. And then seeing with this doctor family, and then of course quite a few people in Port Antonio were happy to see me again. And I had lost a lot of weight though, a lot of weight from before already, when I was very unhappy from before the pregnancy. And the funny part was, like, I was never really slim, but I wasn't fat at the time neither. And now I was really very slim. So sometimes some guests come in my restaurant, they look at me and say, Sabina, you're too maga, girl. You're not sexy again. And I was so proud. I was finally slim. And then them come and tell me I'm not sexy again. I was like, weird. That wasn't nice for me, but I could understand too, because of course, I mean, I'm pretty tall, and then getting too slim is not good for you at all. And also, that was one of the things I was living at the time. And then I remember one day, early in the morning, we woke up. Me and the children, Lou was somewhere around, I don't even know, and suddenly he'll come run in the house. Nervous like what? And say, Sabina, you have to come out, look at this. And I went out, and I see my precious little car. We had a little river in front of the house. There was a house, the road, and a little river. And my little car was like with the trunk down in the river. I mean, like so. And I said, but what the hell happened here? How could that even happen? And then he was like, I was trying to drive it, and I did drive, because he didn't know how to drive at that time. And he always wanted to learn, and he was like, I tried to drive it, and then it went well. And then I parked the car, and I forgot to put in the gear and the handbrake. So what happened? It got in the river. So we had to find some people now to kind of fish out my car. And what happened? We found some people, and they would pull it out and pull it out and pull it out. It came out, water ran out from the back part. Lucky thing the engine never ended up in the water. It was just like the back. Yeah. And then we opened the trunk, and we found some fish in the trunk. And we said, oh, fishing you go. So that was a funny one. We had fun with this one. And luckily nothing happened to the car. We literally only had to get it out, dry it off. I mean, water didn't reach the gas tank neither or nothing. So we were really, really, really lucky. But boy, Lou was so like, what did I do? That was pretty interesting. So after a few weeks, or I don't even remember how long it was exactly, friends of mine that lived in Norwich, they rented a little house there. The lady was Swiss. Actually, she was the lady that was in the boutique beside my pizza place. And she decided to go back to Switzerland and to leave the house and completely, I mean, she didn't want it anymore. And I was like, bling, 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 yes, I want that house, because it was much, much nicer than the one we had in Breastwork. Plus, it was close to the sea. It was right by the road as well, so we could really reach easily where we wanted to go, and we had a little beach behind, not too far from the house, So I was like, oh, please, please, please make me get that house, So actually, it happened that we got it. And I was really, really happy. And it was built interestingly, because the kitchen part in the back of the house was built on high stilts, because it was a slope. And there was a wooden floor there, and in the kitchen, and then there was a tiny little room on the left side that was that would be the boys' room. Then we had a living room and a bedroom, and then we had the veranda here and a front room. So I was even planning to rent out the front room to make a little extra money, so that was great. And we settled in there, and the children were very happy there too. And Lou was some kind of person who would deal with everybody. I mean, talk to everybody and friend of everybody, and he was very popular with people. He would help out here and do something there and have him little big Jamaican mouth, And so what happened, seeing that my boys at the time, they were now 9 and 7, and some neighboring children started to come in the house. I mean, more through Lou than with me, and they wanted to see my boys, and they started to play with each other. So I ended up practically having like 5-6 picnics every night for dinner because most of them were poor, the parents, and they didn't even have enough food for them to eat. So I just said, ciao, let's cook a bigger pot. Who cares? And they used to start sleep in the house, and he was like a little bit older than the rest of the children, but he was like, to Yasha and Nikki, he was like, oh, I'm their big brother now. You know, I mean, he decided he's going to be the big brother. So he was hanging around constantly. Going to school still, but he was about like 6-7 years older than him. So that's how we had suddenly a bigger family than we used to have, you know. And I really liked that life over there. In the days we were in the pizza shop, in the evenings we came home, and then we had all these children around. Everybody was like in a good mood and happy and doing what they had to do. So we had a really good time around that area there. So Lou wasn't really working in any firm job, but what he did, he started to train dogs. Like Doberman and Shepherd and stuff, and he had a little idea from before how to do it. And then what happened, we got the dogs in the house or in our yard, and he would train them, and after a while when they were trained he would bring them back. So he started with one Doberman who was really dangerous. I mean, he was really wild, and he kind of got him to calm down, and because at first I wouldn't allow my children to go around that dog because he was too much. So after a while him cooled down, and I could let the children go close to him and stuff. He wouldn't do anything anymore. He would listen to the orders and commands that he was given. So finally he brought back the dog to the owner. Next thing we hear is that the owner shot the dog, and we were like, but he was completely alright here and docile and calm and relaxed. And what actually happened, it looked like he got so attached to us that when he went back to his former owner, he would get crazy. He didn't want to be there, he didn't want to stay there, he didn't, and he started to bite around himself and bite everybody that came around him, and he was really getting dangerous, and the owner just wanted to take the gun and boom and kill him. And we were so shocked, you know. It was like, oh my god, that poor dog. And then next time Lou would meet with somebody else and came home with a shepherd lady, and she was called Buka, and apparently the owner didn't want her anymore. And I love shepherds, right? So I was like, oh my god, a shepherd, yes. and she was fantastic. She was so fantastic because she was very good, well trained. She was actually trained, like if you would shoot a gun beside her, she wouldn't budge because she was used to it. She was supposed to protect you even if somebody shoot, you know. And what she did too, if somebody would come towards you with any form of gun or machete or, you know, anything, she would go run, grab the person by the balls, literally, you know, would really go on his pants like, didn't bite though, just grab. Boy, I tell you, I've seen some grown men turn really pale. Trust me, if you have that one big dog like that and hang upon your balls, you know, it's like, you don't know, will he bite, won't he bite? They were all like, call the dog, you know, take him away now. I had to actually replace 1 or 2 pants of some people who were completely innocent, because what happened, they were coming to work and they had a machete in their hand, and Buka just see them come towards me. I was her biggest
prize.
Yeah,
she had to protect you.
Yeah, I was her thing. And if anybody would come towards me with machete in them hand or so, she would just, she wouldn't even listen. I mean, it's like, hey, Buka, don't. She'd, I have to protect mommy. You know? And she would really hang on their private parts. So I got it until I really get on to kind of listen after a while that you do not have to attack anybody like that. But It was really funny, but at that time my baby was like, like a little over a year old, started to walk. That was my Yumi. She was all over that dog, trust me. She would climb on his head and take his ears and turn them, go upon his nose like this, you know. The dog wouldn't say a thing. If it was too much for her, she would like shrug her off and one time and go away, you know. And I was like, all right, I have a good watchdog here. And she would really watch the house. She would watch everybody, the children, everything. So I was happy with having that. Because, I mean, even this house where we live didn't have any bars or anything, you know.
Any grill?
No burglar bars, yeah. So that was another story we had in that time, our buka. And then, as I told you guys before, in the one before, I got some money from the German government for 1 year, for like parent money, and I would run out, of course, when Mayumi would turn 1. So at that time, the shop was not really doing that well, to be very honest. I mean, it was still the situation that in Port Antonio, people wouldn't really try something new. And in 1986, we are now. No, it was almost 97. Yeah, it was 87. Sorry, it was in 1987. People were still very reluctant to try new things, and so my market wasn't all that. We barely got a little money in, and if I did not have that money from Germany, we couldn't have survived. So we decided to, we had to say, all right, my daughter's birthday come, we have to leave, go back to Germany for now. But I kept the house because the rent was cheap, so I tried. I said I must can find the money in Germany to send over here to keep the house.
Do you remember around how much the rent was?
It was like about €100 a month, you know.
So that
Or say in US, what is US now? 100. That I don't
Did
remember.
you pay it in euro or Jamaican?
No, I paid it in Jamaican, but I don't remember the It was much.
Okay.
So I decided to keep the house, and then anyhow, Lou would stay in the house while I was going back to Germany with everybody. But of course, he wished a lot that he could come to Germany as well. But I said, well, I have to go there first. I have to even find out where I'm going to live, because we couldn't all stay in Mommy's apartment again. It would be too tight with now 3 children, and Mayumi was walking too and stuff. So at first, of course, we landed back at Mommy's house, but then I looked for an apartment, and we found a nice little apartment in a little suburban area, but there was a park nearby, there was a school, there was everything. So I was happy to get that apartment, and then basically I could say, okay, now we can try to bring Lou over too, because it was like a 2-bedroom apartment with a big living room. So it was possible now to bring him over as well. And after I moved into that apartment, I started working again as well. Same teaching job that I did before giving birth to my
just not give up on
daughter.
Mommy.
Well, I was happy because every time I called them, they would just say, "Yeah, man, come."
I know.
I was really happy.
Then I give up on Mommy, none at all.
Not really, because I mean, where you can come and go as you wish,
right?
In a job, you know, I would just work for a few months and then say, "Okay, I'm gone again," bye, you know.
And
you come back a year after and call and work for a while, and it was really, really, really good in that respect. I cannot complain. So anyhow, it took us about 4 months, I think, until I had enough money to get out to buy a ticket for Lou. And so I sent him the ticket, and at that time Jamaicans didn't need any visa to come to Europe. That was not like today, where everybody need visa. Not them time. So the day come now that he was supposed to reach, and I get ready, and I had to drive to Berlin. Same old airline, you know, Russia, Shannon, Cuba, Jamaica, or the other way around. So that long flight, and I would have to pick him up in Berlin, which Berlin is 400 kilometers from Bielefeld. So I was just getting ready to go in my little. My mommy gave me her car because she really didn't need it anymore at the time.
How long drive is that?
About 5 hours.
Yeah.
Highway, German highway, where you can drive as fast as you want. But with an old Opel, you can't drive that fast. So I was just getting ready to leave out when I got a call. I was kind of late already, and I got a call, and the airplane had come in early, and the first thing I heard is like, are you so and so? And I said yes. Yeah, well, we have and they said Lou's name here. Are you acquainted with him? And I said yes. I'm supposed to come pick him up now. And they said, oh, never mind, he cannot leave the airport. And I was like, what? And they said, yeah, he tried to come in without a passport. And I was like, what? How stupid is that? Because of course I did ask him, yo, do you have your papers together? Do you have everything? And he was, yeah, everything is fine, everything is cool. And he was practically on the phone. They put him on the phone and talking to me because he was not a criminal or nothing, but he couldn't leave the airport. He was practically crying, you know, and saying, but I said, but Lou, what happened? You must know you cannot travel without a passport. Which up to now I don't understand how they let him even leave Jamaica without a passport. That didn't make sense to me at all.
Without a passport.
Anyhow, end of the story is that poor guy had to sit in that airport for 5 days until the next flight went back to Jamaica. So he was kept in there. I mean, they let him use the washrooms. They fed him. They gave him, I think 3 meals a day.
Can get a mini airport vacation.
Yeah. And then they sent him straight back. So we were back to square one. Of course, now he had to get a passport. Right? That took another, I don't know how long. How long does it take? I think it was about this usual 6 weeks. Well, that gave me time to buy another ticket. Because, of course, that one was gone, you know. So he finally reached Germany and I could pick him up, and it was like, yes, that obstacle has been overcome, you know. So we went back to Bielefeld and started our little life there, and it was because it was such a long time, it was getting towards winter. And Lou never had seen winter or experienced cold or anything. So one day we went in the supermarket and bought like a case of water, a case of juice, and some beers even and stuff. And when we came home, I packed them on the balcony. And he was like, why you don't put them in the fridge? I said, darling, it's colder outside than in the fridge. And I have much more space here. So I just put out all, and he was like, whoa.
To this day we do it.
Drinks on the balcony?
To this day
wow.
we do it.
Yeah, of course. First of all, you have much more space. Secondly, it's literally sometimes cooler than, because the fridge has 7 degrees Celsius and we have, in winter, we are under that even. Well, you have to watch out though. If it's freezing, you better bring in your drinks.
If it's glass, that is.
So eventually the first snow fell, and it was really pretty, with like these thick white snowflakes, you know. And he was like standing in the room looking out and was like, whoa, what is that? And I said, well, that's snow. And he put on his jacket and ran outside and was outside in snow. Yes, snow. I told you this guy was crazy. So and suddenly Bobby was gone. I didn't see him anymore. I didn't go out, for me it was so cold, right? So I don't see him anymore. I said, where the hell is he gone now? 2 minutes later, him came back with a big bouquet of flowers and gave it to me and said, here, because you made me see snow for the first time. Oh, yeah, really, literally.
Jamaican men can be sweet too.
Be so sweet. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, And then it continued to snow, and then the snow was staying, and so I took my children and him, and we had a little sled. How you call him?
A sled.
A sled. And we went to one place that was a little bit hilly, and we would take the sled and go down the hill. You should have seen Lou. You know, I was entertaining the entire people on the hill. I mean, everybody there was cracking up the way he was enjoying himself, and he was like, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! And up and down that hill.
Big ass man.
And he threw himself in the snow. A grown black man, you know, in the snow. I mean, that really looked good, you know.
Was he a Rasta man or?
No, at that time he had short hair.
Oh.
So no Rasta, but his complexion pretty dark, you know. So I mean, everybody was cracking up. I mean, everybody was enjoying his joy.
Yeah.
It was so contagious, you know. Really, I mean, even the other people, they started to enjoy themselves much more and laugh much more and run up and down. And so this whole hillside with, there were about, what, 20-30 people there. We had so much fun. Just through his really joy of being there and living the snow and seeing all that. So I really love that memory of him at the time. Okay, but as everybody might know, if you go to another country, generally mostly you can only stay 3 months, and those 3 months with Lou passed pretty fast, and he had to go back. In the meantime, he had made a lot of friends. I mean, he was so outgoing and so funny that everybody liked him. All my friends liked him. But he found people on his own. I mean, this guy would just walk out on the road in Germany and start to talk to people and meet people, and they would invite him after a while. And I was like, wow, you're really good. But in Germany, people don't do that. They are not like that.
Did he know any German?
Nope. Not a word. Just with his patois too. He wouldn't even speak proper English either. He spoke patois. And somehow, I don't know how he did it, but they were all intrigued with him. So 3 months passed and he had to leave. And for me, of course, it was like, alone again, and my life got a little bit more boring, of course. I just did my school. I had my children there, which actually our house ended up as well in this whole entire neighborhood where all the children would be in the afternoons after school, because other parents would never allow other children to come in their house. And for me it was like, hey, the more the merrier, you know. And they were all so grateful, because some of them were like, both parents were working and they would be alone the whole day. So when they told me that, I said, well, you can come here, you can do your homework, you can spend some time, and you won't be alone so long. And so that would kind of occupy my time, of course. I mean, working in the mornings and having these children in the afternoon, and then time passed, and then suddenly I said, I want to go back to Jamaica. I don't want to be here. So what happened, a friend of a friend of mine had a very good job. He was an electrician, self-employed, and he had visited us in when we lived in Norwich. He was staying with us, and he was so intrigued by Jamaica that he said, okay, so I'm going to give you some money, and you are going to build something where I can come anytime, and then it can be rented out. In the meantime, please do that for me, because I really want to get something done, but I don't have the time to do it. And of course he would give me something for myself and something for that project, and I was like, yes, fantastic, I can go back, you know. So I always tried to be fair with my children, though, you know. I would never force anything on them that they don't want. Like, for example, if they would have opposed to go back to Jamaica and just said, no, we won't stay in Germany, mommy, I couldn't have done anything against it, you know. So one evening I decided, all right, let's see, let's find out. So we sat at the kitchen table, we were just having dinner, and I started to say, guys, I want to talk with you about something. How would you feel like going back to Ja? I couldn't even say Jamaica, you know. Also they were, yes, yes, let's go back, you know, and I was, all right, problem solved. That was so nice. I was like really, whoo, my children feel the same like me. Well, I couldn't ask my Yumi, she was still too small. She was like not even 2 years old, so I couldn't really. Oh, but one day, while we were still in the apartment, because after that we started to work on leaving again and sell out this and take away that, I get a phone call. And I pick up the phone and hello, and suddenly on the other side of the line, guess who was on it? My dear husband. And I was like, what? You know? Because of course my mother had her same telephone number, her same address and stuff, so he found out through her my then telephone number, and then he called.
Das sollte die nächste Story anfangen.
Okay.
Worüber ihr gesprochen habt.
Alright, so my daughter just said that should be the next story, and I will follow her advice. So, see you next time.
Hey, wanna not kill me here, but I definitely know everybody are gonna know what her husband come back and say.
True.
So
That was a good end picture. Thanks for the advice. I listened to her.
So guys, this is it for the story. No, please not kill me in the comment section. Please, please, please. You know, I don't mean no harm, but we have to keep, you know, the suspense going and stuff. You know, we have to keep you guys intrigued. So yeah, this is how we do it. You know, our mommy start off the stylist and we just continue it. You understand? But yeah guys, anyways, thank you so much for watching. And guys, by the time this video is posted, I have officially launched my Instagram online store, which is mainly going to be based for my Jamaican people, but it's going to be called Sexy Made by Mel, and made is spelled like, you know, the ending of mermaid. So it's going to be Sexy Made by Mel. So when you go on Instagram, you can just type in Sexy Made by Mel, and I will be providing you guys with some swimwear and lingerie and few beauty products and stuff like that. And you know, we shall see where it takes me, but we're definitely going to work on, you know, creating a little brand. So yeah guys, even if you're not in Jamaica and you still want to support me, you know, you can just give me a follow and a few likes. That would also support me very much. So yeah guys, make sure you check that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.